How do the best leaders build trust? I am super pumped for this video because I'm going to do something very different. I could answer this question from my perspective and my thoughts, but my job is actually working with some of the smartest leaders and educators who are also the most empathetic, trustworthy, fantastic leaders on the planet. And so I thought, what if I just call them? So I've got a list of people. We'll see who actually picks up. These are pretty busy people. I'm gonna keep, depending on their request, I might keep their identity anonymous and their organizations anonymous, and some I might share. But in this video, you're gonna get some different perspectives from clients who I actually worked with at universities and organizations all around the world. Here we go. Okay, so the video you're about to watch has been filmed, and I know what happened. I know who picked up, I know who answered, and so I'm just throwing you a little notice that it just so happened that only male leaders picked up. It must be that female leaders are too busy changing the world, but I didn't want to just include an answer to this question with only perspectives of men. And so at the end of this video, there's a sequel linked to a perspective from all female leaders and educators, clients that I've worked with. After this video was filmed, I went out and called a bunch of them and got some more feedback. So check out the sequel to that, that's linked at the end. But right now, enjoy this video because there are 3 really cool perspectives that have some themes that I think you'll really appreciate. First one, here we go. Call Tom Nasser. Tom Nasser is the founder of a company called Checkmate Solutions. Digital, builds like crazy apps, all sorts of cool stuff. Let's see if he picks up.
Chad, how you doing?
Mr. Tommy Nasser, hello. I'm doing very well.
That's great. What's up?
I've got a high-speed phone call coming your way.
I'm ready for it.
I'm actually filming a video right now answering the question, how the best leaders build trust. And if you had to answer that on the spot in this moment, on permanent record on the internet, how would you answer that question?
I would answer that question with a unyielding sense of vulnerability and as much honesty and candor as humanly possible when you're given the opportunity to share that honesty and candor. I think people trust and build trust in a multitude of ways, but when you admit fault, when you show that you care about them as a human versus as a business unit or as an item inside of the business, like it actually makes a human connection and you start to build this thing called trust.
Tom, what the heck? You were just like waiting for this this question. This is super awesome. Thank you. I'm going to call you back and we're going to chat deeper at some point later. I'm also going to send you this link. First of all, are you okay being not anonymous with that answer?
I am okay being not anonymous. Yeah, I am okay with that. And it's so, I mean, I'm doing it right now. Like,
yeah.
I'm
practicing
building trust is an ongoing thing, and you have to be aware of it in order to build it. If you're not, it's going to be kind of hard.
Super, super cool. Thanks for being willing to just jump in on the spot. I'm going to call a handful of other leaders and clients that I work with and educators, and you were the first one and you picked up right away. So you kicked off this video on a very beautiful note.
Awesome.
Love you, brother.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chad. I'll
See ya.
talk to you soon.
Cheers. Bye-bye. What? That was lovely. Man. Okay, this person, they may want to be anonymous, but her name is Irene. She's the chief academic officer for like all schools in Connecticut. So collectively, she's responsible for, I think, like the education of hundreds of thousands of students. Pretty cool. We'll see if she answers. I led a number of sessions for all of the principals in Connecticut last year and did a series with them around connection before content and our book, Ask Powerful Questions. So I'll be really surprised, but very happy if she answers. Call Irene Parisi.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. 2032.
Here we go. This is another Chad. His name's Chad Henderson. He is one of the directors of NODA, which is the professional association that brings all directors of new student orientation and transition together. So like picture every single major university in the US and abroad coming together, 1,000+ people, to talk about how do we create an environment of connection, belonging, and trust for incoming students. Here we go.
This is Chad Henderson with NODA. I'm unable to take your call at this time, but please leave me your name.
Strikeout. Okay, bummer. I got Chad's voicemail, as you just saw, but cool news is I got home to my office studio and after filming, and I had a lovely email response from Chad. And so I want to share the wisdom that he unpacked here. I'm going to read it out to you in his own words. But first, I've got to just share the fun little anecdote, the power of connection before content. I forgot about this, but when I keynoted their conference a few years ago in San Diego, Chad and I were on the phone planning, designing. I was learning a little bit more about the audience so I could tailor my presentation. And as I was on the phone, my dog Mochi, I turned around I just walked into the house and there was stuffing all over the living room floor. And I kind of freaked out on the phone. I was like, hold on, I think I need to call you. Well, I think my dog just tore apart a couch cushion. Anyway, Chad said, hey, might need to get your tips on keeping your couch cushions together because we just got a puppy in this email. And so just for the love of the internet, look at that puppy. Come on. Pretty awesome. Okay, so that's the power of connection before content though, right? Something that I forgot I even mentioned, forgot that even happened, that shared experience, years later has continued to create this link that keeps us in each other's mind and each other's brain. And it's things like that that keep the world small and not so overwhelming, not so isolating. So after sharing about his lovely puppy, he did also respond and say, I was thinking about the question you posed on the phone regarding how the best leaders build trust. And for me, the best leaders build trust through authenticity, getting to know others and accepting others for what they bring to the table. There is nothing in this world that will give me trust in someone more than when I can open up to them about who I am and they accept me. Remember the details that I shared and practice empathy and follow up on conversations. It's one thing to do a check-in with a team and ask them how they're doing. It's a whole nother thing to keep following up when they share something to ask how the situation is progressing, making sure they are doing well and genuinely investing in them as people. Is there some cool irony in this? I think Chad, in a totally unknowing, humble way, was being a great leader by including the picture of his dog, by referencing that past conversation. He was saying, hey Chad, I heard you, I see you, we're connected, right? There's something so valuable as a leader when we can really accept. Will and I, one of our more popular articles that we ever published was a really fine-tuned definition of the words connection, belonging, and trust. And belonging for me is really closely associated with the word of acceptance. In fact, I think that belonging is when someone is accepted for who they are and who they are not. That's one that's kind of left out sometimes, right? Especially maybe in closer relationships or as we've worked longer with people. We want them to change, right? We want something different out of that connection, out of that relationship. One more. Oh, Julia. All right, Julia is actually a director of new student orientation and transition at Minnesota State University.
You've reached the phone of Julia Rowland at Minnesota State University, Moorhead. I can't get this phone right now.
All right, couple strikeouts in a row. Maybe we'll get some voicemails back, but we're gonna try one more. I'm feeling 3% confident that this is gonna work out. Call Chris Maslin. Chris probably won't mind having his identity revealed, but he's the senior of organizational development at Biltmore Estate in Asheville, North Carolina.
Hey, man.
Chris, how are you?
I'm living the dream, brother. How about you?
Hey, I'm calling you with one of the most fun, spontaneous calls I bet you'll get all week.
Bring it.
I am actually actively recording a video right now. The camera is recording. Steven is behind the camera. And the video topic is how do the best leaders build trust? And I'm just calling on the spot 10 past clients / leaders, educators that I've gotten to work with who I think are really great leaders who are tuned in to that question. So if you're willing, we can keep you anonymous or not. But if you're willing to answer that question, would love just your 60 to 120 second riff on how the best leaders build trust.
Yeah, I'm happy to speak about that. Just on the phone, you don't need me to flip to Zoom or anything, right?
Right now, you're on speaker, going into the mic. And you can also say no, just say no.
No, I'm happy to, do anything to help out. So, yeah, so I believe the way that best leaders really seek to build trust begins with clarity of expectations. And out of the gate, it just means clarity of expectations for performance, clarity of expectations for communication and motivation, and really what each person needs from each other in the relationship. So many things I think are way messed up and go sideways when we have a lack of clarity on expectations. And so doing that on the front end in any sort of relationship tends to pay dividends. I also think I've found in my experience being willing to just talk about and own my failures with my team and letting them know that failing is not only acceptable but encouraged within a small and kind of reasonable risk profile. It's important that continue to innovate, and so pushing on that has been really big for me, and just them hearing about when I screw up and owning it and letting them know that that is okay. And along those same lines, I think not only owning my failures, but then when I see the great things in my team, is just continually celebrating those as it's appropriate. That's where the expectations piece comes in. As it's appropriate for them, again, recognizing that each person wants to be celebrated and recognized differently. So knowing them and what they want matters in that instance. And the counter to that, part of the reason I bring that up, is the counter to that, where leaders take credit for or don't acknowledge their team, destroys trust super quickly. So just any sort of that underhandedness, kind of deceitfulness, or just hiding the truth is really bad news bears. And kind of the last point for me would be, through the pandemic, just radical transparency, telling people that you respect them enough to tell them what the situation really is, and that you care about them enough to say, hey, this is where we are, this is where we're going, and you need to hear it, even if it might be painful, because we're in it together and we're trying to navigate this as a team, and sharing with them even the insights on the leadership front of how you're making those decisions and how you're going about it and how you're thinking about the people. So those are some things that for me have been critical in developing trust with my team.
Super brilliant. I love that that radical transparency came in for you, because I think that relates so much to the first piece that you shared about being really clear about expectations. But this is brilliant. We shared two things came up for me as you were saying that. One, the last conversation we had, we were talking about interns and bringing on a team of interns who had just had a really niche, special ability in something specific. And one of the interns that I mentioned to you before that I had hired, her first assignment, or on her list of 10 assignments, one of the first assignments was make 5 mistakes. And I think it actually encouraged me. I don't even know that I was doing that. I was probably a little bit more of a perfectionist 5 years ago when that assignment was given. But it was, I think, an encouragement of actually building it into the role to carve out space for failure. And then the other thing showed up, I don't know if you've ever come across the book Authentic Conversations by the Shokiers. But they use this analogy talking about a failing newspaper. And so you're talking about the pandemic and the importance for radical transparency there. I know from our offline conversations that you've had to make lots of hard decisions and have lots of hard conversations over the last year. Yeah. And in the book, they use this metaphor of a failing newspaper company. And they use the language of caretaking and how, as a leader, we might want to take care of everyone and be like, no, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. But the best possible thing would be to say, hey, we're struggling. We are going to be gone in 5 years unless we collectively figure out something different. and kind of bringing people into that too. So I love that. Chris,
Yeah.
thank you.
So good.
It is so good. Would you prefer to be anonymous or first name
feel
only?
free to share my info.
And what is your current role at Biltmore?
I'm Senior Director of Talent and Organizational Development.
There you go.
So I'm the Executive Director for the Biltmore Center for Professional Development. So lots of stuff for you to not include there because that's way too probably confusing. But
No, it's good. What that says to me is you get to not only interact with a lot of leaders, you get to develop them, and so your wisdom is like kind of sourced from the collective wisdom from all the people you get to work with. Thanks, man. Camera's still rolling, so I'm going to let you go now, but let's catch up again soon.
Thanks. Take care.
All right, cheers.
Yeah.
Woo! All right. This is what I mean how the best leaders and educators build trust. Is they can answer that question on the spot. This is one learning that I'm having. Like the two people we ask, like immediately they get this, like Chris just unpacked like a whole model for building trust, starting with clear expectations, moving into kind of what Tom shared about owning vulnerabilities and making it okay to fail, and landing it with this radical transparency. You can see this like theme threading already. And I can say, just backing up from my perspective, collectively, all those three things show up on almost every what makes a good leader kind of survey, right? They show up in lots of there's a billion leadership related books, right? These are all threads that come through. I just wanted to give you like a tangible, like no, actual people live in the moment. What is their perspective and thought? This is a super fun video to shoot, a little bit of live action, if you will. And the folks that I got just voicemails for, I know they're gonna get back to me. And so if you loved this and you want a little bit more, a dose of how to build trust among employees, this follow-up video will be perfect for you. Have an awesome day.